Everything just changed for the New York Knicks, as in an offseason that has already seen a ton of turmoil for the Knicks, including firing their coach. Now, new coaching targets have emerged after seeing a barrage of huge names joining the fold, and Knicks Executive Vice President William Wesley has a huge impact on one of these names as well that could eventually lead to the New York Knicks hiring who is now the favorite for the Knicks head coaching job on DraftKings, and we are going to break all this down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here. We're going to jump right into it. Guys, if you're part of that 74% that's not subscribed, make sure to subscribe to Knicks Digest. We got a ton of fun videos like this. You do not want to miss out on all that great New York Knicks content that we are dropping every single day throughout the whole year, and also multiple videos during the offseason. But let's jump into it. There's a lot to go over. As we know, Leon Rose is being very diligent in his head coaching search for the New York Knicks. After firing Tom Thibodeau, it's evidently clear the Knicks didn't have a direct successor in mind, but that's okay. Oftentimes, teams don't unless they're going to go with the associate head coach or one of the assistant coaches of the team. And now that Tibbs is gone, Leon Rose is exhausting all options, turning over every stone, just looking for head coaches. Obviously, the Knicks are getting clowned for trying to interview other teams' head coaches because they're being diligent and checking the market, which is smart, but whatever, people are dumb. On top of that, what we're also seeing is the fact that the New York Knicks have gone out there and shown a lot of interest in many different coaches from many different facets, whether they're guys who are more on the radar on other teams or the college level assistant coaches. The Knicks are looking everywhere, and now new names have emerged for the New York Knicks, as Sam Amick revealed that league sources say there is an increased Knicks focus on two former coaches who don't require permission to pursue. Mike Brown, last with the Sacramento Kings, and Taylor Jenkins, formerly of the Memphis Grizzlies. There could certainly be more names available more names of available head coaches emerging soon. As a league source said, the Knicks are planning on finalizing that list in the coming days, but Brown in particularly profiles as an interesting option due to the complicated nature of the Knicks inner circle. Brown is tight with the Knicks inner circle, and we are going to get back to that and the impact of William Wesley specifically plays into that, but also Leon Rose as well. But on the topic of Taylor Jenkins, there is a lot to go over with Jenkins. Now, he passes the NBA University test, as NBA University tweeted out now 2 years ago. 2023 is so far away now. It's when I graduated college. That's scary. But as NBA University mentioned, you want to know who's an elite coach? Taylor Jenkins. He deserves way more recognition. He's creative, finds every advantage and inefficiency, and capitalizes on it. Taylor schemes to his personnel, values possessions, great slob drops, which slob is sidelines out of bounds, which is just like plays. So, like drawing up sideline out of bounds plays, something Tom Thibodeau was terrible at. And also, rotations are consistently smart. The players buy in, and it's just absolute excellence, as they put it. So, look, shout out to NBA University for that little breakdown already on Taylor Jenkins. Taylor Jenkins is a very talented NBA head coach. Now, there are some reasons why he got fired. He didn't get fired because he was good at his job. That's why people don't get fired for that. But the Grizzlies, their performance in the playoffs was never great. The Lakers were a 7th seed, given a powerful 7th seed with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. But they controlled that series against the Grizzlies when they beat them in 2023, when the Grizzlies were the 2 seed, sort of getting upset, but also at the same time, again, it's kind of like LeBron and AD. Like, it's kind of that thing. But at the end of the day, we still saw that go down. We saw the Grizzlies underperform in the playoffs a few different times, but we also saw Taylor Jenkins coach the team well. Now, is it his fault they underperformed in the playoffs? Is it the personnel? What is it? Did Taylor Jenkins, was he not able to capitalize on the players once those playoffs hit? It's a multitude of questions, and you have to consider the fact that maybe he just wasn't the right coach for the playoffs, which is something the Knicks are looking for. It's why they fired Tom Thibodeau, was because they wanted a better coach for the playoffs. So it is scary about Taylor Jenkins. Now, also the interesting thing about Jenkins is he's the anti-Thibodeau. The man, there was constant complaints by the fans that the best players on the team, the John Morants, the Desmond Baines, the Jaren Jacksons of the world, were not getting enough minutes because Taylor Jenkins is giving, his best guys, his top guys, 31, 32 minutes per game. So he's the opposite of Tom Thibodeau. Now, you do want to find the healthy mix in between those two instead of having that, so it does become a little bit interesting to sort of navigate that situation as it is. But there is a lot to think about. I mean, Tom Thibodeau, when Jenkins got fired, say said he's not only a terrific coach, but he's a great guy. He's established himself as a great coach in this league, and future better days are ahead for him. That could get a little awkward. Yeah, future days are ahead for him are going to be better. There's better days ahead for him. He's going to take my job. But in all seriousness, it is interesting to look at a guy in Taylor Jenkins who the Knicks clearly do have some interest in for sure. I mean, Sam Amick mentioned, as for Jenkins, he became the Grizzlies' all-time leader in wins during his 6 seasons, only to get fired with just a few weeks left in the regular season and be replaced by assistant coach Tomas Asalio. The move, which came after a stretch where Memphis lost 13 of 22 games heading into the postseason, did not have the desired effect on the rest of their run, unless getting swept by Oklahoma City was the goal. His glowing reputation, it's safe to say, remains intact. And on top of that, Ian Begley also mentioned that former Memphis Grizzlies head coach Taylor Jenkins remains squarely on the Knicks' radar as they continue to search for a new head coach. So Jenkins is interesting. I do want to see him get an interview for sure. I mean, we saw this Knicks fan mention about Jenkins that in the regular season he's 250-14, good win percentage. The offensive rating consistently improved with the Grizzlies. Every year it got better. I mean, the average offensive rating was solid, and then on top of that, the average defensive rating was solid as well in the top 10. So we saw Jenkins do a pretty great job as a head coach to a degree, but he did get fired for a reason, so you do have to consider that. Would he be the perfect head coach for the Knicks? There's the issues there, but also there's a lot of promise there. I, for a while, thought Jenkins was a good head coach, and I thought it was weird that they fired him. So if the Knicks hired Jenkins, I'd be concerned about why he got fired and the low minutes thing, but at the same time, I would certainly give him a chance before I'm like, this is a terrible move, because he does have a pretty good resume outside of the playoffs. The playoffs thing obviously worries me. But we also saw the favorites get released, or I should say the new favorites get released for the Knicks' next head coach. And number one is Mike Brown at plus 105, meaning if you bet $100 on it, you'd win $105. So he is a heavy favorite right now. While Taylor Jenkins is second, Johnny Bryant is third. We see Michael Malone at fourth. That's not going to happen. James Borrego at fifth. Mike Budenholzer at sixth. Then we see guys like Rick Brunson, Steve Nash, John Calipari, Jeff Van Gundy, Monty Williams, Adrian Griffin, Frank Vogel, Dan Hurley. Just a bunch of guys who aren't going to get the job, including Mark Jackson, Rajon Rondo, Sam Cassell, Chris Quinn, Dave Bliss. Quinn and Bliss are two excellent coaches on the Heat and Thunder, respectively. Patrick Ewing and Darvin Ham. The reason I just read all those names off is because a lot of you guys in the comments below have mentioned a lot of these names, and because of that, I just did want to highlight that a bunch of those names I had listed off are so far, far, far away underdogs to get the job. They're not going to. So next time you mention the Rick Brunsons, the Rajon Rondos, the Patrick Ewings, the Mark Jacksons of the situation, just know it's not happening. Like, I'm not trying to burst your bubble or anything or saying, well, you're wrong because you thought that. I'm not. I know you're just suggesting, like, a head coach, which is perfectly understandable, and I love seeing all the different opinions. I'm not trying to do that by any means. I absolutely love all the different coaching suggestions that people put in the comments, but I am saying it's not going to happen is really where I'm going with this. It's just not. Like, it's just not where the Knicks are looking. So if you are on that Mark Jackson hive, you are on that Patrick Ewing, Rick Brunson, that hive, one of those guys, the Steve Nash, I don't think anyone's on the Steve Nash, but I have seen some Rondo comments as well. It's just not going to happen. I think a lot of those guys, Patrick Ewing's not going to coach. He's working as an administrator with the Knicks, but like guys like Rondo, I would see more likely end up on a rebuilding team. That's my guess. And Rick Brunson's not going anywhere, and I just do not see it being Malone, if I'm being honest, and Mark Jackson's probably never coaching in the NBA again. So now that we have that under control, we can talk about Mike Brown. Mike Brown is an interesting guy because, while the offense is great, the defense is not good. The Knicks would have to hire him a defensive coordinator of some sort. I actually, for years, wanted Mike Brown to be the assistant coach of the Knicks and be Thibodeau's offensive coordinator. That obviously never happened. So the Knicks would need to find a guy who could coach defense, like a former head coach or something who could coach defense for the Knicks while Mike Brown focuses on the offense. Mike Brown's not a good defensive head coach at all, and the Knicks have individually good defensive players, which is a good start to things, unlike the Sacramento Kings, who didn't really have individually good defensive players, one of the reasons why they got eliminated in the first round after that excellent season that they had. But at the same time, what we're looking at is a situation where this is a Knicks team that is begging to be played in an offensive style. Mike Brown has an offensive style with pace, space, and ball movement, something that should work for this New York Knicks team. At the same time, again, the defense is a scary thing. You have to hire a defensive coordinator or Mike Brown is not going to work as a head coach. Now, Mike Brown has been an excellent assistant coach for multiple different people, including Steve Kerr, Rick Carlisle, and Greg Popovich. Those are three of the best coaches, most successful coaches in NBA history. So Brown has learned from great guys. I'm not saying he hasn't. I'm not anti-Mike Brown. I'm just saying that you got to stack up a defensive head coach or two, really a defensive head coach, and then a defensive assistant coach to just coordinate the defense and have Mike Brown be full offense. That's what you effectively need when you bring in Mike Brown, because he's not going to coach the defense the same way. He's all offense all the time. That's just how he is. All offense, you're shooting threes, you're getting in transition. A style of play that this Knicks team would love to have and is built to play. It's just a matter of you don't want them to forget about the defensive end because they do have such good defensive players on that end in the Mitchell Robinsons, OG Anunobys, Mikal Bridges, Deuce McBrides of the world, that you don't want them to forego that and not have those guys being used to the best of their abilities, which is my one fear with the Mike Brown situation. Now, on Mike Brown, there were some reports about him. I mean, coming from Sam Amick, it was mentioned that while Dolan is the holder of supreme Knicks power and team president Leon Rose is the undisputed leader of the front office, Executive Vice President William Wesley, a.k.a. Worldwide Wes, Executive Vice President continues to have the kind of influence that matters a great deal. During times like these, for Brown's purposes, it certainly doesn't hurt his case that his close relationship with Wesley dates back to the mid-2000s days when Brown was coaching LeBron James's Cleveland Cavaliers. Wesley at the time was a league-wide power broker and one of James's primary confidants. It's also important to note here very, very, very quickly that Leon Rose at this time was LeBron's agent. There's many photos of LeBron, Leon Rose, and William Wesley hanging out. This is before the beef happened, the split from Clutch and CAA to where there was that beef that's now been squashed, but it was a thing that did happen, and so Leon and Wes know Mike Brown very well, and we know how much connections matter with the Knicks. One of the reasons why we all knew Tibbs was getting the job is because of the connections to Leon and Wes. Now, on top of that, Sam Amick mentioned that, as was the case with Kid and Udoka, Brown interviewed for the Knicks position in 2020 before it went to Thibodeau, yet while he didn't get the job back then, with some believing that Thibodeau had already been deemed the unofficial choice by the time that Brown's interview took place, league sources say he left a very strong impression. He was hired by the Kings 2 summers later, then went on to deliver the best 2-year stretch in nearly 2 decades for the long-struggling organization before getting fired midway through this season, and the Kings now suck again. On top of that, Jonathan Macri did record a video with Ian Begley, and he said when he asked about New York's coaching search, Mike Brown was the first name Begley mentioned, along with another coach who, with Knick ties, who may surprise some people. That other guy was Mike Woodson, who also I've said I'd be fine with if we ran it back with Mike Woodson. I'd just rather him be an assistant coach, but if he becomes the head coach, I'll give him a chance on that as well. But we're going to see what happens, guys. This is getting really interesting because now we're hearing names from left, right, center, under, above, everywhere. I mean, you could pull a name straight out of a hat right now, and they might be the Knicks coach. I will say, everything I know, everything I've heard, and it's been a while since I've gotten an update from where I get my inside updates, I would bet all my money. Let's just go back to the odds real quick. That's Leon. There's the odds. Johnny Bryant at plus 350. Take that money and run, baby. Guys, like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and also if you need more betting advice, probably don't ask me because I'm 1-6 on the UFC main events this year for the pay-per-views. I suck. Sean O'Malley, you suck. No, you don't. You're actually great. Sean, just Marav's a beast. No one cares about this unless you're a UFC fan. I'm going to shut up now. Guys, have a great day and go Knicks.